Right, hello everyone, how's it going? I just want to make a short little video responding to Horus. Um, Horus has done a Substack post called The Question of Villainy on the idea of Churchill as the chief villain of the Second World War. Horus, November 25th, 2024. I just read this because obviously today's Thursday, we're going to do the show tonight. Anglo Gang, every Thursday, 7 o'clock. Like and subscribe, share the video, right? And we talk about the news, and I was thinking about making a response to this in the video, but I just read it, and I don't know, man. I've been drinking a lot of coffee, to be honest with you. I'm just kind of amped up. I'm ramped up, and I'm amped up, and I just thought I'd make a short little video to respond, right? So, first of all, it's good to see that I feel like some small progress is being made here on the ongoing Second World War debate, and that as far as I can understand, in his essay, he comes to the conclusion that Churchill is not the chief villain of the Second World War, but he is the chief British villain. In that at least Horus, and I assume other people as well, are coming to realise, well, first of all, everyone knows Stalin is a scumbag, but people are also coming to realise that Roosevelt was an absolute scumbag as well. And this is probably because of the popularity of the book, Sean McMeekin, Stalin's War, where he talks about Roosevelt funding the Soviet Union. Maybe even Horus has listened to some of the points I've made. I mean, I've been making this point repeatedly that, well, we all know about Lend-Lease. We all know Stalin got the free money and we got bankrupted, right? But people are also, I've been making the point repeatedly that actually Churchill wanted to, after the United States of America had invaded Italy, Churchill wanted to jump over to the Balkans, invade up in that direction, and by doing so we could have rescued Poland. Roosevelt was against it, Stalin was against it. It was also Roosevelt that demanded absolute surrender from Germany, right? Unconditional surrender. If he had not have demanded unconditional surrender, then perhaps Germany would have surrendered more easily before, and they wouldn't have had to fight to the death, right? It was also, as far as I remember, Roosevelt that supported this idea of deindustrializing Germany, which would have led to the starvation of millions of people, and Churchill was very much against this. So a lot of these neo-Nazis, they try and make out that Churchill hated the Germans. It's not true at all. Fascists lie, and they make up quotes and they put it on the internet and people believe it just because it says, A to Z quotes on it, right? A to Z quotes. Churchill says, I hate German children and we should burn them to death, and all the fascists are like, yeah, fucking Churchill. No, people lie and they make shit up, okay? But anyway, at least Horus is starting to realise that Roosevelt was a villain as well. Good. That's some progress. So anyway, that's my first answer, but I wanted to say something more. I wanted to really just make a point, because I've been pacing up and down, just thinking about the Second World War and my position on it. Because I can see the argument that Horus is presenting, or the neo-Nazis in general, right? They're presenting this kind of, if only we'd stayed out of the war, right? This kind of argument. If only we'd stayed out of the war, and then, we could have just let the Germans conquer the Soviet Union, and then we'd still have the British Empire, right? We'd still have the British Empire, and everything would be great and rosy and happy, and that's the kind of fruit that they dangle. But my problem with this, because it seems almost reasonable on the face of it, from a very simplistic point of view. Why did Churchill have to pressure Neville Chamberlain into starting the war, right? It was the Jews. They made Churchill pressure Neville Chamberlain into starting the war. If only Churchill hadn't have done that, we could have stayed clear. Germany would have conquered Poland and then the Soviet Union. America would never have gotten involved in the war. We'd still have the empire. But on the face of it, it seems so tempting. There are a few problems, though. First of all, total genocide of the Slavic people, right? Because that's what Hitler talked about in Mein Kampf. Horus here in this video denies it. I mean, there's one point in the video where he says it's doubtful as to whether Hitler would have invaded Poland at all. No, he wrote about it in Mein Kampf. Like, what the hell are you talking about? It's called living space. That was his philosophy. That was his idea. You know, but let's say we don't care about that. Okay, we don't care about the genocide of the Slavic people, right? The mass slavery and all the rest of it. We don't care about that. Okay, fine. Pretty sure Germany would have turned on us next, just like they did in the First World War. First World War started because of German expansion, German expansionist ideals. They were building a navy and getting into competition with us. So at some point, this Nazi superstate would have demanded its colonies back, and they would have built up a navy, and it would have led to conflict. It would have led to conflict. I mean, that's just is what it is, and it's essentially was not in our geopolitical interests to allow the creation of a giant Germanic superstate. That's just a fact. That's just real politics facts. It was in our interests to maintain a division of power, a balance of power in Europe. Those are the facts, guys. So, I mean, those are the 2 points. But that's not what I really, really wanted to talk about. What I really want to say in this video, because I'm just kind of pacing up down, thinking about it. It's just, what really gets me is the anti-Englishness that comes along with the anti-Churchill stance. That's what gets me. That's why no matter how many times I try and sit here and I formulate it in my head, I sit here and I think, okay, like, what is the academic agent trying to say? What is Morgoth trying to say? What is Horus trying to say? They're presenting this nice alternative history in which we stayed out of the war, we still had the British Empire, and Germany just conquered the Soviet Union, and it was peaceful and it's nice and it's full of flowers and beautiful women with blonde hair and blue eyes and all the rest of it, right? I can see it. I can see the utopia, the golden dream, right? I can see it. It's shining, it's bright, it's sparkly. If only. If it wasn't for Churchill, right? I can see it. I get it. The problem is when people start presenting this argument, there is an undeniable wave of anti-Englishness that comes along with the argument. It's not just like if there was somebody out there who was promoting like an English, British ethno-nationalism, celebrating English culture, celebrating King Arthur, Alfred the Great, Edward Longshanks, Henry VIII, Queen Elizabeth, Queen Victoria, all of them, right? And the glory of the British Empire and so on and so forth, and Englishness and beer and fish and chips and steak and kidney pie and roast dinner and all the rest of it, right? And capitalism and everything. If there was an ethno-nationalism which was celebrating all of this, and they said, we could have had all of this if it wasn't for Churchill that made us lose it, then I could maybe sort of go along with it, but that's just not the way the cookie crumbles, is it? What happens is we get AA, Morgoth, Horus, Mark Collett, Steve Laws, the new guy, the BNP, right? The National Front, Patriotic Alternative, Homeland, like all of these groups and all of these characters, Jonathan Bowden, they're all German supremacists. They all love Julius Evola and Nietzsche, and they all love National Socialism, and they all think, the Germans are the master race, and they're so wonderful. Jonathan Bowden himself said Germany is the heart of Europe. And that's it. And I'm scratching my head thinking, well, hang on, we're English. We conquered the world. The whole world speaks our language. Why aren't you celebrating English culture? So it's just a package deal. It's this simple alternative history that you're trying to present of, if it wasn't for Churchill, we'd still have our empire and Germany would be over there. It just doesn't roll out like that. What happens is a tidal wave of anti-Englishness comes along with that sentiment, because what happens is you're saying Churchill is bad and Hitler is good, essentially, which translates into England bad, Germany good. And what ends up happening, and this is the real conclusion point here, and if you're listening, Horus, I want you to really fucking pay attention to this, because this is what really, really gets my goat and pisses me off. And this is why again and again and again and again I reject the neo-Nazism. And I return back to Churchill and to Bomber Harris. And what is the point? The point is, when you adopt this anti-Churchill perspective and this pro-German perspective, what you end up with is cultured thug, an American neo-Nazi, sitting on the internet and saying, England, the English are the Jews of Europe, and those young white girls in Rotherham deserve to be raped by Pakistanis because of Dresden. And that is an actual real thing that he said. I'm not even making it up. Like those English, they deserve everything they get. I've seen him say it. And he's not the only one that said it. Other neo-Nazis have said this as well. And what you could say, that's just, that's too extreme. That's just one case. That's just one person. But back in the day when he did say it, he was quite famous on the internet. I don't know what's happened to Culture Thug now. But he was a big character, right? 4 years ago. And where was the pushback from Morgoth? Where was the pushback from Mark Collett? Where was the pushback from Horus? Where was the pushback from Millennial Woes? When you have an American sitting on the internet saying, the English are the Jews of Europe and they deserve everything they get. They deserve Rotherham because of Dresden. Why didn't any of you nationalists, so-called nationalists, push back against this anti-English American neo-Nazi hatred? Why didn't you? Because you didn't. And I was there. I watched it happen. And that's why again and again and again, no matter how beautiful and pretty and reasonable your alternative history appears to be, again and again and again, I will always return to Churchill and to Bomber Harris, because fuck everybody else. I'm English. I play for my team. I don't care. I don't care if Churchill was right, Churchill was wrong. I don't care why the war started. I don't care. I'm not going to apologize for Dresden, and I'm certainly not going to tolerate a bunch of American neo-Nazi scumbags saying that we deserve Rotherham because we beat Adolf Hitler. But unfortunately, that's where the argument ends up going. You can say that, it doesn't have to go there, but it does go there, right? That's the path that it takes. The reasonable suggestion of, if only we'd stayed out of the war, seems reasonable on the face of it. But you end up with the cultured thug saying disgusting and horrible things, and British nationalists just sitting there and being silent about it because he's an ally and he's one of our friends. We can't criticize him. We don't want to do infighting. Right? Am I wrong? It's almost like, it reminds you of feminism. It's like, start off with the suffragettes. I mean, they were a terrorist group, but anyway, it looks reasonable, right? They're all fully clothed. Mary Wollstonecraft is quite a well-educated lady, quite well-spoken, Got these aristocratic ladies saying, yes, I would like to vote. And I've got, and they're talking in a very educated way, and you think, we'll let the ladies vote. And then what happens 100 years later? You've got OnlyFans and slut walks, right? And young teenage girls cutting their breasts off because they think they're men, and all kinds of psychotic madness. Starts off looking reasonable, but where does it end up? In a similar way. Your argument, starts off looking very reasonable. If only we'd stayed out of the war. Can you imagine? But that's not how it ends up. It ends. There's a giant package of anti-Englishness mixed up with it, and I haven't seen anybody address my concern. I've been sitting on the internet talking about this for 4 years. 2020, I first started talking about this. 4 years later, nothing. Just a dismissal. Just a wave of the hand. Oh, you're stupid. No point-by-point analysis of anything that I've been trying to say. Just I'll just return to your fanatical Hitler cult. So here you go, Horus, mate. Okay, I mean this in the nicest possible way. You can leave a comment you can write in a comment below. You can invite your best friend Morgoth and AA and all of you. Write in the comment section below on this video. You explain to me, please, how it is you tolerate the cultured thug saying that English people are the Jews of Europe and we deserve everything we get, right? We deserve Rotherham. How is it, Horus, my dear friend, how is it you tolerate this? How does this not fill you with anger? And that is a genuine question. Please explain it to me. Thank you very much. All right. Okay. God bless. Goodbye.